Before we install your water ionizer, we want you to understand how the water flow process works. You need to understand that there's a water inflow coming into the unit, and then there's two water outflows going out from the unit. Now there's a separation. One water flow going out from the unit is separated into an alkaline stream. The other stream is acidic. So it's very important to remember that there's one inflow and two outflows for this unit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and attach the water spout to the water outflow port here at the top of the ionizer. Now it's important to remember that this is where you're going to get your drinking water, but also this is a delicate process. You don't want to strip the screws or the threads inside here, so you want to basically screw from the top versus the bottom bendable portion here. Okay, so once that's screwed in, you also want to ask yourself where you're going to put your ionizer in proximity to the sink and the nearest outlet. Now if you see behind me, we've got the sink here and the electrical outlet over here. So obviously the water ionizer's best place would be here, right next to the sink. Okay, so we have the ionizer next to the sink right where we want it, but we haven't plugged it in yet. We also need to take note that on the reverse side of this ionizer is where you're going to have to attach the hoses. And you can see here where the water input and the acidity output are located. At the bottom portion, you can see the water input and the acidity output here. You're going to basically have to attach your hoses so that you have enough length. See, right here we have our hose, and you're going to have to cut this so that there's enough length to reach from the sink. Now some people opt, when they want to attach it to their water input valve, they want to make sure that it goes from the faucet all the way along the faucet to the back. So, you know, this could be anywhere from a foot to a foot and a half in length. Okay, so now we're ready to attach the hoses to the ionizer. Now what we've done is we've brought it here onto this table so it's easier for you to see. We're going to go ahead and turn the ionizer around. We're going to lay it on its side. And you can real clearly see the different valves we have here. We have our hose, which we're going to have to cut into two different pieces. Now the first hose is going to be the acidity output. And so you'll probably need about, this seems like a good length. So go ahead and have some scissors nearby, and then we'll go ahead and cut that. Okay, so we have our first piece of hose cut. Now what you're going to want to do is apply one of the hose clamps here onto the hose before you put it onto the ionizer valve for the acidity output. So what you're going to do is you're going to simply place the hose onto the valve. Okay, so now that the hose is onto the valve, you want to take your pliers and just simply position them so that you can clamp and move over the valve for a snug fit. This will keep the hose from coming off or letting any water drain out. Okay, so now we want to repeat the same process for the hose that's going to be attached to the water input valve. So what you're going to do is you're going to place the hose clamp onto the hose, again before you place it onto the valve, and then go ahead and just place the hose right onto the valve. And then again, take your pliers and now you have a nice snug fit. And you see this opening here. You're going to basically take the two hoses and pull them through that slot. This will allow your unit to rest flatly on the countertop. Okay, so now we've moved the ionizer back onto the kitchen sink counter where we're going to attach the hoses. Now the first hose is from the water input, and this is going to be obviously the longer hose. The second hose we have here is for water output, which is for the acidic water to drain into the sink. So what we're first going to do is detach the aerator, which is on the faucet here, and then attach the diverter onto the kitchen faucet. Okay, so now that you have the diverter valve snugly secured to the faucet, you're going to go ahead and attach your hose to the diverter valve. Now you want to make sure that you have the hose clamp on before you do this. So go ahead and put the hose right onto the diverter valve, and then use your pliers can kind of see that you have some excess here. Now what some people choose to do is run the hose along the faucet and along the back. Or you can just trim off the excess so the hose just goes right from the unit to the faucet. Your unit comes with 2 suction knobs. So what you simply do is place this over the hose. This is going to help you keep the hose draining properly into the sink. Okay, so now that we have the ionizer all connected with the hoses going into the sink and connected to the diverter, we want to also take note that we still haven't plugged it in yet. Before we plug it in, we're going to run the ionizer for about 10 minutes to just remove any loose media, to just flush out the system. In order to do this, we're just going to turn on the faucet, and then we're going to turn the valve on the diverter. And now what's happening is the water is moving through the ionizer and will eventually come through the spout. And you're going to want to do this for about 10 minutes before you plug it in. And you're going to notice the unit will come on and say Alkaline Balance on the LCD screen. Now your unit will come on and off as you turn on the water, so you don't need to unplug it, and there's no on and off switch.